The word spirits is everywhere. Walk into a bar, browse a liquor store, or read a drink menu, and you'll see the term used as if it were completely ordinary: beer, wine, and spirits. But this raises a curious question. Why spirits? Why would distilled alcohol share a name with something associated with ghosts, souls, or the supernatural? The answer lies in history, language, and how early people tried to understand the mysterious process of distillation. Long before modern chemistry, distillation was a strange and almost magical technology. The technique allowed liquids to be heated, transformed into vapor, and then condensed back into purified form. To observers with limited scientific knowledge, the process seemed almost supernatural. A substance changed state, disappeared, and returned altered. It felt less like mechanics and more like alchemy. Early distilled alcohols were particularly striking. When wine or fermented liquids were distilled, the result was a much stronger, more volatile substance. Clear, potent, and dramatically different from its origin. This intensified the sense that something fundamental had been extracted, not merely concentrated, but separated. Language began to reflect this perception. In many traditions, distillation was described as releasing the spirit of a substance, the most refined, essential, or animated part. Rather than viewing the output as simply purified liquid, people interpreted it as the captured essence of the original material, the invisible made visible. This way of thinking was deeply influenced by pre-scientific ideas about matter and life. Across various cultures, the concept of a spirit often referred to an animating force, something unseen yet powerful. Heat-driven vapor rising from a liquid easily fit this metaphor. It looked like something alive escaping its physical form. Even the physical behavior of distilled alcohol reinforced the association. Spirits evaporate quickly. They ignite easily. They produce strong sensory effects. Compared to water or wine, they seemed energetic and unstable, qualities historically linked with vitality, volatility, and invisible forces. The terminology surrounding alcohol reflects this lineage. The English word spirit derives from Latin spiritus, meaning breath or vapor. The same root underlies words connected to air, life force, and animation. Vapor rising during distillation naturally aligned with this language. The product became the spirit drawn from the liquid. Historical records show this usage emerging clearly in early European distillation practices. Distilled alcohol was often referred to as spiritus vini, the spirit of wine. The phrase did not imply ghosts or mysticism in the modern sense. It described what appeared to be the extracted essence or active principle of the fermented liquid. Importantly, this terminology developed long before molecular chemistry clarified what distillation actually does. Today, we understand the process as separation based on boiling points and volatility. But early observers lacked that framework. Metaphor filled the explanatory gap. Over time, spirits became a practical classification term rather than a philosophical one. As distillation techniques improved and spread, the label persisted. It moved from descriptive language into commercial, regulatory, and everyday usage. The original conceptual meaning faded, while the word remained. Interestingly, similar patterns appear throughout scientific history. When processes are poorly understood, people often rely on familiar conceptual models: life, breath, essence, spirit. These terms bridge perception and explanation. They provide language for phenomena that feel difficult to describe. There is also a sensory dimension to the terminology. Spirits produce strong psychological and physiological effects. They alter mood, perception, and behavior. Historically, this further reinforced associations with invisible forces acting within the body. Something unseen creating visible change. Modern usage no longer carries mystical implications. No one ordering a drink imagines capturing an ethereal entity, yet the vocabulary survives as a linguistic artifact, a reminder of how earlier generations interpreted transformation, volatility, and the unseen mechanisms of matter. So when distilled alcohol is called spirits, the term reflects centuries-old attempts to describe a puzzling technology, a time when vapor, essence, and animation blurred together in human understanding. What seemed like magic eventually became chemistry, but the language never fully changed. This has been Questions Answered. If there's another everyday word or expression you've wondered about, leave it in the comments. It might become a future video. And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden logic behind familiar things, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.